In the world of data, we get really hung up on titles. But what if the ones we use all the time are actually holding us back? Today, we're going to dive into a totally different way of thinking about data, one that, honestly, promises something way more powerful. Okay, so we all know the key players, right? You've got your data analysts, your data scientists, and they are absolutely essential, no doubt about it. But what if the most critical role, the real game changer, isn't just about looking at the past or predicting the future? What if we're missing the mindset that can actually change it? And that's where this idea of the data alchemist comes in. Now look, this isn't just some fancy new job title. It's a whole new way of working. It's this blend of science and art and strategic vision that you need to turn raw data into pure, actionable gold. So you might be thinking, alchemist? Really? Why do we need another buzzword? Well, there's a good reason. It's because the traditional roles we're so used to, they have their limits. And understanding those limits is the first step to moving beyond them. Let's break it down like this. Think of analysts as our historians. They do a fantastic job of telling us what happened. Then you got the scientists, who are kind of like our fortune tellers. They build these incredible models to predict what's going to happen. Both are so important, but they often work inside very specific predefined lines. And here's the catch. When we stick too rigidly to just those roles, it's like having all the ingredients for an incredible gourmet meal, but you only ever make a basic sandwich. We've got all this amazing potential right there, but we're leaving this entire feast of insights just sitting on the table. And that is exactly why we need to talk about data alchemy. This isn't just a new label. It's a completely different approach, one that is 100% focused on transformation. So what is it really? Well, at its core, data alchemy is both an art and a science. It's the practice of taking all that messy, scattered, raw data, the base metals, if you will, and skillfully transforming it into something that's strategic, coherent, and incredibly valuable. And this right here, this is the key. It's a total shift in mindset. An analyst will tell you what the data is. An alchemist, on the other hand, sees what it could be. They don't just sit back and observe the elements. They get in there and actively change them, unlocking potential that literally no one else even saw was there. Okay, so what does it actually take to be a data alchemist? Let's pop open their toolkit. I think you might be surprised that it goes way beyond just the usual code and algorithms. Of course, you've got to have the foundations. The technical skills they're like the alchemist's lab equipment. They're the essential tools you absolutely need to even get started. And yeah, that means the essentials. We're talking advanced SQL to wrestle with the data, Python or R to build your models, and a really solid grasp of machine learning. This technical stuff, that's the price of admission. It's totally non-negotiable. But here's the thing. Having all those technical tools, that's just the starting line. The real transformative power, the alchemy itself, well, that comes from a completely different and maybe unexpected set of skills. This is the alchemist's secret sauce. It's that insatiable curiosity that makes you ask better and better questions. It's having a deep understanding of the business so you know which questions actually matter. It's having empathy for the people who will use what you build. It's being able to tell a compelling story with the data. And, maybe most importantly, it's having the courage to challenge the status quo and say, hey, what if we tried this? Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a quick example of how an alchemist can create some real, tangible impact. So an alchemist doesn't just stop at analyzing sales trends. They start there, but then they combine that internal data with a whole bunch of external signals. What's happening in the wider market? What are people saying online? What are the competitors up to? And from all that, they don't just predict the next trend. No, they prescribe an action, like identifying and championing an entirely new market that the company should go after. And that right there is the night and day difference. See, traditional analytics is awesome at optimizing what already exists, making the machine run a little better, a little faster. But the alchemist's approach is prescriptive. It's about telling the business what it should do next, creating whole new ways to grow. So this all sounds pretty cool. How do you actually start to think this way? This isn't just about learning a new technical skill. It's about fundamentally changing how you see your own role in the data world. When you boil it all down, this is really a shift in your professional identity. It's about evolving from being a data reader, someone who's technically fantastic with data, to becoming a true data leader. A leader who can see the highest potential hidden in the data and then inspire the entire organization to go after. And that really just leaves us with one final big question for you to think about. With all the data you have access to, and with this new alchemical mindset, what will you choose to transform? Because the new gold rush isn't about finding more data, it's about knowing how to create real value from it.